Hey, Highland County Real Estate, Randy Butler here from Classic Real Estate. Another kind of business here located in the county. I am with Mr. Steve Thompson. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Randy. I'm very good. Thank you.
Very good. We're at Thompson Funeral Home, and you've been here for quite a while.
I've been here since 1981.
Have you really? That's
have.
a long time.
It is.
Now, you told me before you're from that other country, Adams County, a little bit south of here. And another country is still United States or not? I think it is, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
Randy. Yeah. No, I was born and raised in Locust Grove, so.
Well, good.
Yep.
Good. 1981. I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Yes, it
That's a
has
long
been.
time.
And it's like, you look back and it's where has time gone?
Yeah.
1981, when I come here, Hope Miller was turning 65 and was wanting to draw Social Security, so that was his whole point of me coming
Sure.
into the organization.
He was done.
He was done.
Sure.
And so now I look and I'm thinking, oh my goodness,
You're him.
I'm him. But I'm not done, my wife tells me.
I understand.
I asked my wife, I said, so any intentions of retiring? And she looked at me and quite said, no.
No, you're not.
So,
A funeral was something, maybe some people don't like to talk about, but it's something we all have to deal with. I mean, everybody. Sooner or later, you've all had family members, friends, what have you. And I'm not really sure the answer to this myself. When something does happen, yourself or somebody in your profession, what do we do? What are we
well, of
supposed to
course, first thing, after you make a choice of your funeral home and we receive the call, then it's our job as we are to instruct and lead you through the process and give you, there's so many different options today. Well, there's always been, but it's ultimately our choice to really lead you through the process and then give you the opportunity and the options, and then we try to carry out what your desires.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, but that's it. It's there's a lot involved. There's a lot to it, but that's what we're here for.
And I'm sure it's like anything else, the rules and laws change and get added to as years go by of what you can and can't do or should and shouldn't and that kind of thing, or doesn't? Maybe it doesn't.
Well, they're pretty well changed that much, but there is a lot of regulations that we have today that we used to not have. For example, now the Federal Trade Commission. I always like, when I come here in 1981, we simply had the State Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors, and that was all our governing body. Mm-hmm. And I know we used to be, oh my gosh, when the state board was in the county, you'd start calling and saying, hey, the
Sure.
board, and oh my goodness, we'd be on pins and needles. And today, of course, we still have our state board, but today I have 4 federal agencies that we have to are governed by, and we've got the
Mm-hmm.
Federal Trade Commission, which they require the funeral home to have a general price list that we have to present to the family before we ever even talk anything about arrangements. Mm-hmm. So and what that simply is, it's kind of like a menu in a restaurant. When you go in, they present
Sure.
you a menu, and so this is everything that we have. Well, it's the same way with the funeral home. We have our general price list. So much of it on the price list doesn't even apply a lot to certain situations. Mm-hmm. So, but it is, we're required to have a casket price list and also an outer barrel or a vault price list.
Sure.
And then we also have EPA. And then we have like the American Disabilities
Mm-hmm.
Act we have to abide by, and then we also we've got where any floods we have to have the sheets, and we have to have that's through, let's see, there's EPA and so anyway, there's just 4 federal regulations today that. And the scary thought of it is, when they walk in, they're going to find violations. For a small business like ourselves, it's really, it's always a worry.
Sure. Now, you have Hillsborough and there's Lynchburg, I think?
No.
forget.
I've got Hillsborough, and then I got a funeral home in Sinking Spring, the Wiley Thompson Funeral Home, and then I have funeral homes in Peebles, Seaman, and Winchester, and also West Union. So we have 6
you have
locations. Yeah,
Several.
so-
You're right here now, we're on Main Street in Hillsborough.
Correct.
And this was your first one, correct?
Correct. This is my first one, and then after Hope retired, my cousin Bob Wallace, he went to embalming school, and he come back and started working with me here in Hillsborough. And in the meantime, I'd bought the funeral home in Sinking Spring, so I told him if I ever had the opportunity to buy another funeral home, that I'd take him in as a partner.
Sure.
So anyway, we had the fortune to buy. There was 2 funeral homes in the Peebles at the time, and we had the fortune to buy one of the funeral homes, and that was in 1991. And then in 1996, we had an opportunity to buy the second funeral home in Peebles.
Oh, wow.
So we merged the businesses, and then we have the funeral home there at 119 Raritan Road today, the Wallace Thompson Funeral Home. And then the next following year, we had an opportunity. We started helping Bill Sullivan at Seaman and Winchester, with the understanding that if he ever decided to sell, that we'd have first opportunity. So in 1997, he said, guys, he said, I think I want to maybe sell. So we ended up buying Bill in 1997. And then 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to buy it was the Ellis Funeral Home in West Union, which that's where I served my apprenticeship.
Oh.
So we ended up buying that in, I'm not sure what year it is. I know it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And then what's kind of ironic, the Wallace Thompson Funeral Home in Peebles, that's where I really started and got my interest in funeral service. And I was a sophomore in high school. And
You've been at this a while then.
I've been after a while. So had the opportunity, the funeral director in Peebles, his son and I, and become very good friends. And so it's kind of, back then they did the ambulance service. And so.
Sure. I remember that when I was a kid. I remember that.
So anyway, that's kind of how I got started.
Okay.
Well, that's how I got started in the funeral business.
Well, we appreciate all you've done. I know, some people look, what does a funeral home have to do with real estate? I think all businesses affect real estate. I mean, you have successful, thriving businesses of any kind. It affects the real estate in the area.
It does, yeah.
Appreciate the information, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Randy.
We'll see you, Highland County.